So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend, I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week has been an interesting one to say the least because of the soap opera-esque storylines coming out and developing lately, so we still definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now. So if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Tristan, and he says that Ben Simmons is about to have a big comeback season. Well, it wouldn't be an NBA offseason if we didn't see these kinds of takes pop up, I suppose, right? The Ben Simmons cycle has been ongoing for many years now, where his offseason workout videos get spread on social media, he starts to put out the kind of energy indicating he's going to come back a different player, and then nothing changes. His career is one of the most frustrating ones we've seen in recent NBA history because he was the #1 pick in his draft class, which, by the way, was loaded with star talent. He's been a multiple-time All-Star himself, and he was one of the best defenders in the NBA at full strength. And he does really have a knack for setting up easy looks for those around him with his passing talent. But with every passing season, it became blatantly obvious that his scoring upside was being severely limited by his unwillingness to even look at the basket outside of the paint, and in the postseason, that weakness got exposed every time. I understand why people are willing to keep the faith alive for Ben Simmons. Trust me, I used to be one of his biggest backers because his talent is so obvious. But unfortunately, the combination of his lacking work ethic and his shrinking confidence year after year make it very hard for me to buy into him ever reaching star status again. Then, when you throw in the nagging back issues that he's been dealing with over the last few years, it becomes a really tough trifecta to overcome. Simmons has been given way too many opportunities at this point to prove he would open up his game, and every year he goes out there refusing to expand his range past 5 feet from the hoop. So it is at the point now that we're reaching the definition of insanity, which is of course doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Ben Simmons is 27 years old now. This is supposed to be the prime of his career, and yet his value has never been lower, so for his own sake, he needs a bounce-back season just to stick around past his current contract. I just don't think I can see it happening. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Speedy, and he says that Joel Embiid has got to go if Philly ever wants to win a ring because of how he consistently chokes. Well, the 76ers have been in the news a lot this week for a variety of reasons, with James Harden and his whole saga ongoing, but I covered a lot of that in last week's episode of this series, so if you want to hear my thoughts on that, go check out that video, because today, with this take, we'll be discussing some of the side effects that could come about from it. After everything that has gone down with the Sixers since their second round exit, Joel Embiid has obviously been heavily under fire since. He's probably been one of the most heavily scrutinized players in the whole league this offseason, as he is the one who came away with the MVP award, but then watched on as Nikola Jokic took home the ring and a Finals MVP award. The 76ers have yet to make a conference finals appearance in Embiid's time on the team, and obviously conversations are going to be had about it. Embiid is also absolutely not immune to criticism. It comes with the territory when you are a perennial MVP candidate and superstar in the league. However, with a lot of that being said, I do believe a lot of the criticism he gets in regards to what is being pushed by the original take here is misguided. Since the Sixers have begun to transition out of their rebuild period or the process into playoff contention, which was also the same time that Embiid started to emerge, they have simultaneously been one of the most dysfunctional franchises in the entire NBA, starting at the very top. There's way too many things to go through one by by one, but I'll put a timeline of the things on the screen for you to see for yourself. With Embiid though, obviously he's had his fair share of struggles in the postseason, but the reasoning for it I don't believe has anything to do with quote-unquote choking, and everything to do with his inability to stay healthy. Like, it is incredibly unreasonable to expect anyone to perform at an MVP level when they have a tear in their knee, or if they have a torn Achilles, which is what Embiid has been playing through in the last couple postseasons. The real criticism of Embiid is that at times he plays way too recklessly, and he needs to start actually prioritizing his health, because every year there's a new injury holding him back in the postseason. Going back to the original take, the truth is that Joel Embiid has been the only reason that the Sixers have even been able to stay afloat through all of the turmoil and drama, and the second he gets traded away, the franchise is going to struggle for a while. All Embiid needs is one fully healthy playoff run, and I still think he's got a deep run in him here. But obviously, there are plenty of factors around him right now working against it. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Thab, and he says that the Thunder are about to disappoint everyone this season and will not make the playoffs or play-in tournament. So yes, the Thunder are probably one of the hottest picks of the NBA offseason regarding who people generally believe will break out. If you were to go through some early predictions from analysts and even just fans regarding where they think each team will finish in the upcoming season, the Thunder are a team I have seen a lot of people pick to emerge as a bona fide playoff contender, and if I'm being completely honest, I myself also probably fall into that boat. There is a lot to like about this young Thunder roster moving forward, and the combination of the way they play, getting all of the young guys to push the pace and buy into both ends of the floor, combined with even more talent being available to them this season, makes them a pretty easy pick for people to make as a breakout candidate. But of course, with hype comes overreaction. We do probably need to pump the brakes a little bit on the hype train because they are still young and unproven, so let me say what I think is a realistic breakout for them this season. First, we have to look at the standings and then assess which teams in the Western Conference they could possibly pass up, while also taking note of a few teams behind them who will also be looking to make a leap. The Mavericks and the Pelicans both finished behind them in the standings last year and will both be looking to get back in the playoffs this year. Then, of the 9 teams ahead of them in the standings, there were a lot of teams that got better this season. The Nuggets, Suns, Warriors, and Lakers probably aren't going anywhere. The Clippers can also probably be included in that group barring injury, and the Kings should be able to remain in the hunt after a breakout season last year. And that leaves just 2 more playoff spots with 5 teams vying for it. The Timberwolves and the Grizzlies are probably the 2 teams at most risk of falling, with Ja Morant being suspended for a decent chunk of the season, and the Timberwolves still needing to figure out their chemistry problems, but they both still have the talent to stay put. So going back to the Thunder take here, I still believe they'll be in the play-in tournament at minimum, but if you're expecting them to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference right away, then you're probably going to be disappointed because the West just has way too much talent right now. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes we discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.